Hi, and welcome to this installment of Frank and Mary here in Westborough, the COVID-19 edition. If you haven't seen this show before, my name is Art Bergeron. My day job, I'm an elder law attorney at Myrick O'Connell, which is actually a firm that's right here in Westborough. But this is not about law. This is about my friends Frank and Mary and their kids, Peter, Paul, and Mary Jr. You've heard before that their goal in life is to live in their house until they die and be buried in the backyard. And during the COVID-19 edition days, their goal is to get out of the house because they've been stuck in the house for so long, although things do seem to be loosening up a little bit, and that's all good news. So to bring you the people that you need to know and the programs you need to know about here in Westborough, I have this great co-host, my friend Shelby Marshall. We've been doing this show now for quite a while, and we've been doing the COVID-19 edition really regularly. We've been doing it weekly because things have been changing so much over the last several weeks. And Shelby continues to bring on these great guests, which includes today someone we've had on before, but I think really relevant to talk about how things change and how things remain the same. So Shelby, whom do we have on today?
Hi, good morning, Arthur. Great to be on. So happy to be here again and bringing this program to our viewers. So today we have Lester Hensley. He's chair of our Master Plan Committee and has been a longtime volunteer and steward of the town in many different roles. But Lester's here today to provide us an update on the Master Plan, which is a project that's been going on for a little while now. And we had a meeting last night at the Board of Selectmen. Lester gave us an update, so he'll update our viewers on kind of the outcome of that meeting, but really just to give folks a sense of where the plan is at, how the pandemic has affected it, and how folks can participate going forward, which is probably the most important part. So Lester, welcome.
Thank you very much. Hi, Arthur. Hi, Shelby. Hi, everybody. Great to be back on the show.
Great to be back.
So Lester, give us an update. Where are we at and where are we going?
Well,
a short question that has a lot of answer to it. Where are we at? These are the big questions, right?
Right. Well, I think what I'd like to do maybe is share my screen with your viewers and take you to westboroughmasterplan.com, which is really the hub of the project, and even more so now that much of our interaction in life is digital, and use that perhaps as a vehicle to share with you where we are, and then over the course of that discussion, where we're going. So I will use it as a way to remind folks what the master plan is, as well as what's been accomplished and where we are today. All right, so here we are. So westboroughmasterplan.com, as you see up here, is the website where the plan is being consolidated and all of the information is being published. As you know, when we spoke last on your show, we had also made a strong commitment to do non-digital outreach to our community and to engage our community in public where they gather. And we have been quite successful doing that up until the coronavirus struck. And that's really forced us all, as we're meeting today, to be online. So we do regret that our efforts to reach out with our posted polls at the library and the senior center and even our public hearings, things like that, are under reconsideration. But at least these web-based conferences and the website continue to allow us to do some of the work of the master plan. So just a little bit of a reminder, the website is a wonderful way for our residents to explore and refresh and remind themselves what this is, and also to engage in the process. So if I just go to About the Project, this page really describes what we are doing. And I'm going to jump down to what a master plan is. And I like this bullet right here. The master plan provides vision, direction, and a defined, achievable future by establishing specific goals and strategies for land use, community appearance and design, housing and neighborhoods, jobs and economic vitality, transportation, public services and facilities, natural resource protection, open space and recreation, history, arts and culture, sustainability, public health, and regional coordination. So this defined achievable future shared among the community really is the goal of a master plan. And if I scroll back up a little bit, you might remember that we on our committee decided to break this process up into thematic periods of time. So Westborough Reflects is the period that we are in now, and that, as you can see, was intended to wrap up about this time in May. And in this period of reflection, we are looking to hear from the community and then among the advisory committee members, discuss the town's strengths and opportunities and vision for the future. The intention was then in June to move on to Westborough Explores, in which we begin to identify and evaluate actions that would need to be taken in order to achieve this, this shared achievable future. And that was to run from June through August. And then we would get into the Westborough Confirms portion of the plan, which would take us from September through to its conclusion in March 2021, which would result in the document that would become the guiding document for the town. So we are here now on the calendar, but as you know, our lives have been rather interrupted by this pandemic, and the effect of that on the master plan has been that the Master Plan Advisory Committee members, which are contain a number of our department heads in the community, our superintendent of schools, our town manager, chief of police, fire, building department, planner, housing, the health and family services. So all of these folks in the Board of Health have been had their lives pretty much turned upside down by the coronavirus, and their ability to engage in this process, both as subject matter experts, but also as active, engaged participants, has been challenged. And they are really at the limits of their capacity to think long-term and proactively in the spirit of a master plan, when they are really focused on reacting daily to the stresses and the challenges that the coronavirus has presented. To deal with that, we last night at the Board of Selectmen floated the idea that we would perhaps delay or extend the time frame here. And so rather than wrapping up the Reflects period, we would be looking perhaps at sort of putting that on hold and looking to resume the subcommittee work with the engagement of our department heads and subject matter experts, perhaps 60 days from now, and see and evaluate where we are. And that gives us a bit more time, though, to continue to engage the community in feedback. So any questions on that, sort of on background and process and where we are?
Certainly not for me. I think it's a great visual that our audience can certainly understand, to give a sense of kind of where we've been and where we're at in the context of now the pandemic that really has had our department heads really focusing on not just the here and now today, but the phased reopening and what that means to the town and all of the town services, as well as the community as a whole, and how we support the community to get sort of back on its economic engine and feet. So, no, I think we're good. Arthur, you good?
No, I just had one question. I know that that you're extending the Westborough Reflects period. So my question is, but you have had input to this point. I was just wondering if there was any of that, and maybe this is part of what you're going to be talking about more, but whether there was any of that input that has surprised you, and kind of for purposes of people who are interested in participating, kind of where you think that this has gone so far, just as a question. You may be dealing with that later, though.
No, that's an excellent segue into what we should look at next. So once again, if we look at if we go back to the home page, and we can use all of this whole menu as a guide to the plan, but we have had a number of very successful events, and the report out from those events is captured in the document library. So everything that the committee has done, the TV recordings of all of our meetings, our kickoff meetings, the advisory committee #2, and then the most recent one, which was held over a webinar platform on April 21st, are all here. We had our early kickoff meeting, and the presentation content from all of those meetings is available for review. We then had our public meeting #1, and that was a very successful event at which we had about 120 residents engaged at the high school, again, pre-COVID. And the recording of that event is here. All of the summary notes are there. So we're beginning to get these data sets when you look at the notes and the feedback from that event. We also had running a public survey on the website, as well as in paper handouts at the library, at the high school, at the senior center, and we gathered all of those. So we had quite a response in the end. So as that downloads, actually, I believe I got the document here. So this survey gives us feedback in a more interesting way than just asking the questions in a very broad and open sense. So what do you love about Westborough? You get some great responses to that, but the public survey asked people to rank the importance of various aspects of being in the town. So this gives us a very nice look at sort of how things ranked in people's minds, right? So to the question, what do you think makes Westborough a great place to live? Please select your top 3. Out of the 460 odd respondents, right? The pink bar here, which is schools and educational system, ranked very high, followed by the safety of the community, right? And then followed closely by proximity to regional assets. So this survey results here are we are now processing and looking at our subcommittee level, and trying to gather some insight and input from those. And in addition to that survey, if we go back to the website again, and I'll go back to the home page, we've added this other wonderful interactive tool, and we really invite all of your viewers and the Westborough public to engage in this tool. And that's this Submit Your Ideas tool right at the top of the page. And the Submit Your Ideas tool, where you see we're doing it thematically, we're in the reflects period, and we will change this in the future. But these little tiles represent feedback that individuals have given us. So if I hit View Your Ideas, we have 30 people who have submitted ideas online. And then other people get to interact with those ideas. So this particular participant suggested an improved Main Street lined with restaurants, pubs, boutiques, and not 5 gas stations, expressing a different vision for what the downtown might be. There's obviously more to this comment, so I'll click on this comment, and this allows somebody to put as long a suggestion as you like, and additionally upload images. So you might add an image of something that you think is a model for what we're trying to represent, or perhaps something that you would prefer to see less of. We might put a picture of that. But additionally, 13 other viewers who've read these comments have agreed with this comment. So the ideas board becomes, in fact, a poll of what our community thinks about this particular idea. And if we scroll down on the left side, we can see all of the other ideas that have been asked for. This one is sidewalks in a particular area of town. It's got 7 people who agree. We've even had somebody suggest a curling center out at Chauncey Lake. So that's an idea that hadn't come up in any of our focus group work or anything else. But, some very thoughtful contributions here. And we really are inviting people to use this tool to try to reframe for the positive what they think are improvements for the community. Tell us what you love about the community and what could be made better by making a suggestion. So this is a very detailed suggestion of a number of different ways to make the town more sustainable and creative and appealing, as well as open and green. So here's one. This actually is mine. I happened to go for a walk with my parents along the banks of Lake Chauncey, and I came across these little stones that were placed by somebody during the Kindness Week that Westborough Connects had initiated. And I thought that was just a beautiful little representation of the spirit of the residents of Westborough. And it reminded me, well, why don't we try to preserve both the kindness and creativity of our residents, but also the beautiful open spaces where that was expressed. So questions about this feedback tool from either of you?
Lester, thank you for sharing these examples and walking us through some of the ideas that have been submitted, because I think you see here with this green example that's up in front of us where the person who submitted it gave some really specific ideas, and that's great. And this person seems to be passionate about that. But I think it's important that folks don't have to have like the big idea, and not to simplify yours, but you're on a walk and you saw something and you're like, this is something we really want to sustain and maybe promote. So I love the interplay of new and innovative and maybe kind of stretch goals, as well as there are some things we can capture today and recognize that we want to carry that forward for the next 10 to 15 years. So love all those.
Great.
Just one comment on that, Shelby. I think one of the great thing about watching this is that I also came to appreciate the ability, because of today's technology, for people to insert not just ideas, but pictures of those ideas. So the picture along Lake Chauncey was a classic, but it occurred to me also when you were just talking about people saying, well, you're not just, what gas stations don't we want, but what kind of things do we want? That you literally have the ability now to take a picture of that, through your phone or whatever, and just submit. So people, because I always found that people respond. I always say people respond to good ideas, especially when they have pictures. So for those of us who have trouble just imagining stuff, the pictures really make a big difference. It's great, just great.
That's a good point, Arthur. I think there's a lot of opportunity here for pictures, and they don't have to be ones you've necessarily taken. This person suggested it would be nice to have outdoors athletic stations in town. Now, they probably went to the internet and grabbed a picture of the type of station that they were talking about and uploaded that. So, that's a great way to illustrate very specifically what they think of when they are visualizing a particular suggestion. Right. The other thing I would like to circle back to is my comment that, some people are less comfortable utilizing these digital interactive platforms than others. But I would invite everybody who is perhaps more savvy to sit down with somebody that they're socially engaged with, or get on the phone with them, or do a Zoom meeting with them, and ask them for their ideas, and then be their mouthpiece on the platform. So you could sit down with a friend, a neighbor, a grandparent, and say, is there something you would like the Master Plan Advisory Committee to consider? I'll write it. I'll put it into the website platform for you, but why don't you tell me what that is? So another opportunity for interaction, and let's reach out to our neighbors and one another and help them contribute in this way as well.
I'm thinking of a appropriately socially distanced get together. Families and friends are starting to do that, 6 feet apart, and it's a conversation. Tonight we're gonna spend half-hour kind of brainstorming some ideas for the master plan, and someone's taking notes. I think, I mean, I don't know, I'm kind of a geek, so it sounds like a great time to me.
I think it sounds wonderful. We all,
Yeah.
you know, it's something to talk about other than coronavirus. Let's talk about let's talk about the master plan. So
no, I love it.
So we still want to preserve, talking about where we are now and how we go forward. We want to preserve the master plan as a place for people to think beyond today, and hopefully it provides an inspirational place to put our thoughts and to think beyond the circumstances that we're in. At the same time, the process of getting to a document requires some careful thought, reflection, and capturing of our baseline conditions. And for that, we need the engagement of the entire advisory committee. So I'm clicking on the advisory committee button here, and the advisory committee is listed here by the subcommittee subject that they are assigned to. And each of these assignments is going to be a chapter in the eventual master plan document. And to get to the baseline data as well as the action items and to properly inform these chapters, we need the involvement of our committee members. We also have tasked these committee members to reach out to anybody in the community that might similarly be constituted around an issue, opinion leaders, organizations that exist in town, to get their input into the information that we're trying to gather as the baseline. And as I mentioned previously, you can see that we have many of we have people from the Board of Selectmen, we have department heads, many of whom are so engaged now in just dealing with the crisis and also reimagining our town from a budgetary perspective, in so many ways just over the next 12 months, that it's difficult for them to get the time with a clear head to think to the future. So that's the portion of the master plan that we're looking to slow down a bit. Hopefully these folks get back into their offices and into a more predictable routine over the course of the next 60 days and have the time to properly exert or spend on the actual work of the master plan. But in the meantime, we do hope that our citizens will continue to engage and use this website as a way to give their thoughts. And we're really hopeful that people have the time now to give some real thought to this. And I think, Shelby, you were absolutely right in saying that some very thoughtful comments were put up on that feedback tool instead of just a place to drop a few sentences or a rant or something like that, right? We're looking for thinking beyond the next few months, the next few years, even out. What will the town look like 20 years from now as a result of this process?
Fantastic. I can't say enough about the work that has been done by the advisory committee and all of those who have been connected to the advisory committee through this project. And I would encourage everyone to really get involved. This is the opportunity to frame and shape the future of our town. And Lester, you said this from the beginning, it's a great way to sort of leave a legacy. And I love that. I think it's in this time where we've become, everything is turned upside down. It's sort of a great, to me, grounding action and activity that folks can engage in.
And I think it also is a great time to be reflecting on, as you captured from the survey, Lester, what people think is really special about their town. Because what they think is special is not about the hyperactivity that we're typically living in, but about the sense of community and a lot of those really special things. And to have this time, I went by I do a lot of work in Nantucket. I went by the Nantucket Historical associations, the Whaling Museum, which is closed, and they have a big banner that says, "Soon this too will be history." You know, to have the time to know that we're in this strange time, that 10 or 20 years from now, you'll be talking to your kids and your grandkids about this particular time, you know, but to have this time to be really saying what's really important about the future of Westborough. And maybe it's a few potholes and maybe it's some small things, but it's some really big things. So that's a wonderful thing. So it's, in some ways, it's a blessing. Let's just say,
Right.
to some extent, it's a blessing that you have folks having the time and the focus on this, you know?
I think that's wonderfully put, and wonderful perspective. I love that this too will be history. I think that it's also important that we acknowledge the importance of this event in our trajectory. And I think it would be a gravely missed opportunity not to have reflected in this master plan the lessons that we've learned from this, both in respect to how our community might prepare for and respond to a similar or related event, but also to reflect really on the blessings that have come from this, the connection to family, the connection across community, to all of the outreach and help that is being extended to those in need. So absolutely agree that this is an important opportunity for us to properly capture and have reflected in this master plan the circumstances in which we find ourselves now.
Shelby, what a wonderful guest. Yet again, this is now. I'm looking, and I just want to make sure, speaking of time, that we're conscious of that. But I want, and I know at the end of the show, occasionally, if there were particular big things that just happened in town, you try to comment on them. So I just want to make sure that we capture that before we close.
Sure. Yeah. So just really quickly, last night at the Board of Selectmen meeting, we had we had a lot of important presentations, but the two most significant ones that I'll mention, and we can talk about as a follow-up at a future meeting, future taping here on Frank and Mary, is the staffing study was presented. And that was a townwide study looking at all departments, excluding schools and public safety, to look at the needs of the community and in concert with the existing staffing model that we have, as well as the interplay of town government and boards and committees. So we'll have a whole conversation about that, Arthur, on a future show. But that staffing study will be available on the town's website today, so the public is invited to review it. And not unlike the master plan, there will be a place to comment and provide feedback. And because it's a draft report right now, the feedback from everyone is so important, and we welcome public engagement. Conversely, we talked about our FY20 and FY21 budgets. FY20, it's sort of this juxtaposition of, hey, staffing and vision, and the reality of where we're at today. The town manager expressed that she is confident that we will be able to cover any FY20 or current fiscal year shortfall in the budget without impact to the taxpayer. The scary part about yesterday's conversation is the anticipated, at this point, an estimated shortfall for FY21. We don't have numbers from the state. We don't know what our state funding is going to be, but at this point, the state is directionally given the town a look back to 2008 when there was a financial crisis, of course, and when we were really impacted. So more to come on that. The updated slides will be available through the town manager department website, and I encourage folks to look at it, but more to come in conversation. We'll have the town manager on too on a future show shortly.
So all the day-to-day stuff continues to be day-to-day.
Yeah.
But at the same time, remember, we're up, don't get buried by treading water right now. We got to keep looking at where you're going. You got to keep looking at, and that's really the special message from Lester. So Lester, thank you so much for this. Thank you for coming back. Shelby, once again, thank you for finding these great people and for continuing to do this great stuff. And folks, we hope you enjoy this. We'll look forward to see you on the next installment of Frank and Mary here in Westborough, the COVID-19 edition. Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.